one of the strongest parts of going through a spiritual awakening is learning about our own power as a creator being to manifest. So today, I'm going to be explaining the most esoteric, powerful technique to manifest that is so transformative, it will even transform yourself. In my video, How to Manifest What You Really Want, I talk about how the universe is also attracted to us, and the universe is trying to manifest us to become a certain version of ourselves, one that is equal to it. And that's where we're going to start off today, because the most powerful esoteric technique to manifesting our reality is one that also transforms us. It makes us equal to the giver, to the one that is bestowing upon. So this has 2 steps to it. And these 2 steps have been best preserved and best taught and even made accessible to the public by 2 different branches of mysticism. The first branch is Arab mysticism in the form of Sufism, which later transformed into the Rosicrucian order. So Rosicrucians came from Sufism. The second branch is Jewish mysticism in the form of the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah has done the best job preserving this technique, as well as making it accessible to the public. So, what is this technique that has 2 steps to it in order to truly transform your reality, truly transform and manifest what you want? The first step to this is called the law of equivalence of form. And what the law of equivalence of form means is that we have to shift our nature into the nature of our higher self, or into the nature of source. So our nature here, we first have to understand in order to know what's being changed. Our nature here as a human being is to receive. Now, whatever else you want to overlay on top of that, you can. You can put whatever belief systems you want, whatever type of paradigms that you see the world through. But no matter what, at the very core of this reality, the human experience, human beings, our nature is one of receiving. That's not bad. That's not good. It just is. We are here to receive because why else would a person exist? Existence is because we want to experience something. Even if it's not in its human form, experiencing something is at the root of existing. Experiencing something is at the root of why creation is created. Our nature is to receive. And what we are receiving is being given to us. It's being given to us by source or universal consciousness or God or our higher self, whatever you want to call it. We are being given something. We are being bestowed something. So you have the giver, and then you have the receiver. So we are here to receive. That's even what Kabbalah means. It means to receive. So if that is our core nature, and the non-physical aspects of our consciousness that we call source, is nature is to give us the raw energetic materials of what we're manifesting. Or even give us loosh. And that loosh, that creative life force, is what we use in our avatar here to manifest. Then the nature of the absolute is to give. So the nature of the absolute is to give, and our nature is to receive. What this first step, called the law of equivalence of form, means is to make your nature equivalent in form to the absolute's nature. How do we do that? We shift our intention. So the very first step to this powerful and permanent manifestation technique is to shift the intention behind you receiving. You cannot change your nature from one that is not receiving. You will receive, even if it's bad, horrible experiences, even if it's negativity, even if it's positivity, you will receive. But to have the equivalence of form, to become equal to the absolute, we do that through our intention. Our intention is one, to turn our nature, which is of receiving, into one of giving. But we can't stop ourselves from receiving. How do we give if we can't stop ourselves from receiving? It's in our intention. Our intention is one, to make our act of receiving one that is giving. And I know that that might sound like an oxymoron or even paradoxical, but if we shift the intention behind us receiving into one that is making our very act of receiving one that is giving, that shifts the entire energy and makes us equivalent in form. And that's the first step to this powerful technique. So, what would that kind of look like? To give you an example of shifting the intention from receiving into giving. It would be like, imagine the absolute is a billionaire, and the billionaire is giving you a bunch of cash. And you make that act of receiving all of that cash one of giving, where you give $1 back or you give money back. How precious is that? How adorable is that? You're trying to give money back to a billionaire who doesn't need it. If you have that intention for any time you're receiving, it's easier for us to think of this if we're receiving from the non-physical, right? But God comes to us through people because all is source. So if all is the absolute, then what we're going to turn our intention into is one where we're receiving our manifestations from our reality. We're receiving from others because the others are our source. So that's how our manifestations will come through. It will come through opportunities. It will come through people. It will come through experiences. And if we can receive those things with the intention of giving, that is what entirely shifts all of the energy into one where we have equivalence of form. Existence has periods of activity and rest. When existence emerges into activity, it creates through a splitting of wills. Creation splits into the creator and the creation, the observer and the observed. We can think of the absolute or source as pure imagination, and it seeks to fulfill itself by becoming two wills, the physical vessel and the non-physical, known as the infinite, or the one on a journey experiencing reality, and the one in the eternal now. The very intention for existing is the will to fulfill that existence, because that's how source evolves. So I'm going to lay this out again. When we shift our intention from just receiving into one that is making our act of receiving, one that is of giving, the intention is to give as we're receiving. And when we turn our nature into one of giving, then what we're doing is having equivalent intent with the one giving. So the absolute is giving, and now we're turning our nature just from one receiving into one of giving. We have made equal intent with the absolute. When you have the energy become equal in form, which is we both share, us and the absolute both share the equal intent, which is to give. That creates like what we could consider a battery that just magnetizes your manifestations. But that battery is not activated yet because it needs the second step to come in order to fully activate it. It is an incomplete technique without this second step. And what this second step is you have to love another as yourself, which sounds very honorable. It sounds very beautiful and something that we all should admire and aspire to. And yet, if we're truthfully coming from that space, it is a whole lifetime's task, doing the inner work to truly, deeply, honestly love another as ourselves, rather than just try to love another as ourselves, by disowning parts of our shadow, by further fragmenting ourselves, by further dividing our psyche into parts of ourselves that really want to grab our goodie bags, by just loving another as ourselves, while they're leaving behind genuine wounded parts of the inner child, genuine wounded parts of the psyche that don't really feel like they can love the other as themselves. So it's easier said than done. What we truly have to do is not just love another as ourselves because we were told that to manifest. We have to truly reach unity consciousness by doing the inner work to make sure that we're in integrity. Loving the other as ourselves simply recognizes that we are all a part of the unified field of consciousness. And the unified field of consciousness is what we call oneness. So the unified field of consciousness is the truth. When we love another as ourselves, we're tapping in to that truth that we are all the unified field of consciousness. So to love is to understand, is to become conscious of this truth, of oneness. That's why it's so important to manifesting, because when you're a conscious creator, when you're one that is a merciful creator, you're a merciful creator, and therefore a far, far more powerful creator, because you're coming from the unified field of consciousness. The unified field of consciousness, or source, is going to respond to your manifestations because they're coming from that level of awareness. If you're not coming from that level of awareness, if you don't take the other as yourself, our manifestations will have a very weak current, a very weak conduit in order to run life force through. It will be one of constriction. And when our conduit for manifesting is constricted because it's so weak, it's coming from such a separate space. It's coming not from the unified field of consciousness. It simply cannot run the same amount of creative life force through it. It will use up more energy to manipulate its surroundings, control others, and constantly suppress what is, because lies always take more memory than the truth. It will take more force in order to maintain that intention, in order to maintain trying to manifest whatever we're trying to manifest. So it will take more force over having true power because we're tapped into the unified field of consciousness. That's how you know that love is the truth, and love is more powerful than fear. They're not equal. Even though they're a part of one another, they're not equal. Love means the unified field of consciousness, because we are all a part of the unified field of consciousness. So when you love another as yourself, you're not only a merciful creator, therefore equivalent to the absolute, but now you're tapped into the higher order of this universe. So the universe can send you those manifestations in a far more synchronistic way, a faster way, one because it's not operating at the laws of this third dimensional reality. So your manifestations will be more intense. They're going to be more powerful. They're going to be more positive because they're accessing the higher order of this universe. All because we have gone into unity consciousness. Therefore, we understand that the other is ourself. So to love another as ourself is simply the truth of all reality. In fact, one step further than this is that if you are tapped into the unified field of consciousness and you love another as yourself, you're not only a powerful manifester, that's also how you activate the light body. The unified field of consciousness allows us to move through time, jump timelines instantly, and it allows us to be more present with our manifestations. And when you are fully present with your manifestations, that sends out a signal and attracts even more of them into your reality. Because love responds to love faster than the speed of light. When both of these steps have been applied, first the law of equivalence of form, which transforms ourselves into a grateful receiver and eager giver. And then 2, to love another as ourselves, which makes us a merciful creator. Both of these combined transform our reality so that the universe is highly, irrevocably, undeniably, magnetically attracted to us. I hope this has helped you become a stronger receiver. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.